We're learning more about how a group of 100 migrants made their way to Denver without warning and what's being done now to help them. New information about the Club Q shooting has come out within the hour, and the FBI acknowledges it was warned about the suspect ahead of another violent incident. An extremist group targets a school meeting in Douglas County tonight, one focused on diversity and inclusion. And Colorado prepares for paid family leave. You and your employer will kick in to make it happen. All that tonight on Next. A group of about 100 migrants who arrived in Denver at once do not appear to have been trafficked or coerced into coming to the city. 24 hours after Denver announced it was going to open an emergency shelter for this group from Central and South America, we're still piecing together just how they got here and how people can now help. Our Steve Steger did talk with a nonprofit leader who is working with some in this group. Steve?
Yeah, and she tells me no one in this group she had spoken to said that they were pressured or tricked into coming here. They are primarily from Venezuela, and most of the group said that Denver was their intended destination. Today, we learned that many of the migrants told service providers with the Denver Rescue Mission that they arrived at Union Station this week and through word of mouth then ended up at the mission's shelter at some point yesterday. The rescue mission didn't have the capacity to accommodate that crowd, so it turned to the city, which closed a rec center to open an emergency shelter. Maria Juarez Dennis is the executive director of Centro Humanitario, which works with immigrant workers. And the migrants she talked to today didn't say they were coerced or trafficked to come here. She said that they were scared but strong. She says that they told her that they left Venezuela because they're escaping from scary situations there, and they're looking for a better life here.
All of them say, we just need an opportunity to start working and providing. We don't want to be a burden. And tell us, please, what do we have to do? These are young people who want an opportunity to start over, to feel safe.
Now, Juarez Dennis said that many in the group said that their last stop was in El Paso, Texas. We should note that El Paso used to have a program that bused migrants to other cities. They no longer do that. There is a private organization there in El Paso that has bused migrants to the city of Denver, usually in coordination with the city. We haven't been able to get in contact with them today, and the city had no heads up necessarily on this, Kyle. This was kind of a surprise, so it may be a mystery to try to figure out how this coordinated of an effort of getting people here actually happened, or this large group, I should say, whether it was coordinated or not.
Because part of that will tell us, is there another bus coming tomorrow? What does Denver need to do to set up to be prepared for this? That's why we've been kind of going through the checklist. We know Biden administration was moving some people. DHS said it's not us. We know the GOP governors have moved some people, maybe even coerced them. We've learned from them wasn't them. So just trying to figure out what's coming down the pike so that organizations can be ready.
And we know the city today said that they are expecting more people to move into the shelter. I don't know if that's necessarily meaning more people coming into the city needing assistance or more people leaving the Denver Rescue Mission, which is already overwhelmed with the homelessness crisis in Denver, to go to another shelter to get the kind of resources that they might need.
Steve Steger spent the day on the phone out in person trying to get answers. Thank you, Steve. We knew that law enforcement had been warned about the suspect in the Club Q shooting. Well, now we've learned that the suspect was on the FBI's radar before an arrest in June 2021. The FBI first received a tip about this person on June 17th of last year. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office arrested the suspect the next day after an incident where the suspect's grandparents say the suspect built a bomb and threatened to kill them. The FBI says it worked with local law enforcement and conducted an assessment at that point. Then a month after getting the tip, the FBI closed the assessment. The criminal charges for the standoff and the bomb threat were dropped. We don't know why, because the case is sealed. A new affidavit released in the last hour does give us some more information about what happened inside Club Q. A new picture from outside shows the suspect getting out of a car. The affidavit says the suspect had an AR-style assault rifle and was wearing a ballistics vest. Suspect went inside, started shooting. 5 people were killed, 17 others were shot. The affidavit says the suspect's mother was supposed to go to a movie, but the suspect left for an errand instead. The affidavit says the suspect told staff at the hospital after the shooting they were sorry. They'd been awake for 4 days. NBC News reports the FBI is now asking questions about websites the suspect created. One is a site where people can anonymously share racist and anti-Semitic posts and videos. The Denver Sheriff's Office is spending millions of dollars to renovate the jail, specifically the area where women are housed. They're changing the lighting, they're repainting in different colors. They're even talking about removing bars from the windows. Renusha Roy explains the impact they hope they can make on the inside and on the outside.
This is the common area of Building 24 for the Denver jail. Tables with built-in games, books, murals, a place to watch TV, and changing the hallways from this to bright and airy.
This does not look like the jail that I started in 28 years ago.
The project cost $8.8 million.
It's a part of the tax dollar.
Money spent to make the area where women are housed feel less punishing and more normal, according to the sheriff. The next step is keeping these reinforced windows on the 6th floor, but removing the bars.
There's a movement to change the philosophy behind what we see as incarceration.
We know that female individuals in the criminal justice system have a significant amount of trauma.
That was Dr.
So
Nikki Johnson, Chief of Mental Health Services, who said that's difficult in a lockdown, harsh environment. But changing that environment could encourage more people to get help.
We're hoping that you see less recidivism.
Dr. Johnson wants to see people avoid reoffending and ending up back in jail. Most of the people housed here are lower level offenders. We're talking things like traffic offenses and some drug offenses. In general, the sheriff said many of the people in custody, though, also have mental health conditions or are dealing with substance use disorder.
I've stolen a car because they're trying to get money to feed their addiction.
The focus is on women and putting them in a better position when released because of their kids. The sheriff said when a mom is incarcerated, kids are with family, or the Department of Human Services gets involved, and the challenges they face can impact them for years.
Propensity for a child who has a mother in custody to become a second generation person in the criminal justice system is statistically higher.
We can imagine some people are asking, why spend all this money on those who have broken the law? The sheriff said it's because most won't stay here forever.
97% of the people that come into custody come back. How would you want them treated while they're in our custody?
It's important for us to return individuals safely to the community where they can be productive citizens and not reoffend.
So the jails, including Building 24 that you just saw, were really originally designed for men. But over the years, more women have been incarcerated. The sheriff said he started hearing from both the community and then his own staff saying, please think about changing the environment. It would benefit all of us. They are hoping to eventually make those same changes for the men's side as well.
I mean, we all just know if you make a change to your environment at home or at work, it has an impact on how you feel, how you behave, that kind of thing. What kind of impacts are they seeing?
Yeah, well, the first thing that the sheriff said was that they're seeing less fights in Building 24, right? The cells have more space. There's more space to spread out, so there's less tension, and that becomes safer for everybody. Of course, we have talked about jail overcrowding, so we were asking, well, how are you balancing all of that? The sheriff is really hoping by investing in these changes now, long term, they will see fewer people in their jails.
Well, as he said, 27% are getting out into the community. So what kind of folks, what kind of attitudes do we want people to have when they walk out the door? Nusha, thank you. A school district's equity and diversity meeting tonight is being held with extra security. That's because the far-right group FEC United, which has a militia wing, is telling people to come out for this meeting in Douglas County. The district group is meeting to talk about equitable staff recruitment, hiring, and retention. FEC United has called on its members to attend that meeting to speak against those things. The founder of FEC United is well known for calling for the executions of his political enemies. Members of Dougco Schools Equity Advisory Council say FEC United is trying to intimidate and silence the community. Members of the council have called on Dougco school leadership to condemn FEC United. Superintendent Erin Kane is facing questions from community members about her connections to another right-wing group, the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, which opposes diversity, equity, and discussions about race, sexuality, and gender in schools. Kane recently went to an event to receive an award from that group. We reached out to Dougco school leaders to ask if Kane is going to maintain her ties with that group and wanted to ask the district about the potential for militia members to come out to school events. Still waiting to hear back. There's something that was said that keeps running through my mind. When you're hungry, it's difficult to focus on much else. That's what somebody told the nonprofit Community Table in Jefferson County. For those of us who are fortunate enough to only know hunger as an occasional inconvenience, not a day-to-day problem in our lives, you know that's true. When you're hungry, it's difficult to focus on much else. That's why this week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign, in partnership with 9 Cares Colorado Shares, is helping Community Table feed our neighbors. Because it really is about making sure that people have enough to eat so that then they can go and accomplish everything else in life. Community Table's goal is self-sufficiency, and hunger stands in the way of people being self-sufficient and successful. So Community Table has a client choice pantry where people can shop for the food of their choice at no cost. They offer drive-through and walk-up food boxes for people to take on Saturdays. They have a mobile pantry that goes to senior housing and to places where seasonal farm workers live. Community Table has been at this in Arvada and North Jeffco since 1982. They know what works. And they pair their food programs with rent and medical bill help, with a community health clinic, even dental care. They do a whole lot because they know the need is great and they know how to meet it. Scan the QR code on your screen to get that link to donate. Even $5 helps. They tell me that $25 will provide a holiday meal for 4 people. As always, I'll match the first 50 people who kick in $5 to get us started. So we provide the help, Community Table provides the meals and more. And then our neighbors are fueled up and cared for and ready for whatever life brings. As the political fight continues over women's health care, researchers here say other states should be looking at what access to contraception did for women in Colorado. It was 81 years ago today.
Today's a really big day for remembering our greatest generation.
Now, a permanent memorial to Colorado's veterans is taking shape. Next. Women's health care has been the issue in American politics since Roe versus Wade was overturned. There are opinions and there is evidence, and both are useful to consider. There's a new study from a professor at CU Denver that found that access to contraceptive care helped more women finish college in our state. The study followed thousands of women who were impacted by the Colorado Family Planning Initiative. That expanded access to contraceptive statewide in 2009 by giving women the option to get contraception at little to no cost. The study found there was a 6 to 12% increase in women getting their bachelor's degree when they had access to contraceptives. Sarah Yateman said there is this widespread belief that access to contraception would improve women's lives. And now she says, here you go. Here are your hard numbers.
I hope state policymakers as well as federal policymakers use this evidence to support the idea that access to contraception doesn't just impact reproductive outcomes, but it can really impact people's lives in meaningful ways. And this is a call that we need to support contraceptive access, that there's more that we can be doing. And if other states were to adopt programs similar to what Colorado has done, we could see huge gains in women's educational trajectories.
Yateman says she hopes that other states will consider their research when they're looking at funding for Title X programs and other publicly funded family planning clinics. Hey, consider this your reminder. Starting in January, you and your employer will start paying for the state's new paid family leave program. Employers and employees will split a weekly fee that amounts to 0.9% of your weekly wage, come out as a deduction in your paycheck. That fund will help Coloradans on leave for things like a birth or adoption, or if you're taking care of yourself or a family member who's got a serious medical issue. Victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking can also get leave if they're trying to get help or get a protection order. Employees would be eligible for up to 12 weeks of paid time off, or 16 weeks in some cases. These benefits, though, do not kick in until 2024. The state launched a new portal this week trying to make it easier for bosses and workers to sort this out. There are Democrats in the state legislature who tried 6 times to pass some form of paid family or medical leave. They could never get over the finish line. Then it got put on the statewide ballot, and voters approved it in 2020.
We're continuing to see mild weather here while snow continues to fall off to the west. We're at 42 degrees. It feels like 37 out there with winds coming in from the southeast at around 8 miles per hour. But as we monitor our HD Doppler radar, we just continue to see this snow falling across the high country and portions of the western slope, really filling in the I-70 corridor. And we're even seeing some rain showers and lightning bolts far southwest. So we're going to continue to expect that through the rest of the evening. And because of that, we have winter weather advisories that go into effect, continue this evening all the way until tomorrow, and that's why we have them all across the high country and western slope, just because we're going to continue to expect all of that snowfall there. In addition to that, we have several avalanche watches and warnings that'll be in effect through tomorrow as well. So in the meantime, while we stay very mild and dry here, we're going to see those partly cloudy skies to lows near 25 degrees. And then as we go through the day tomorrow, another mild afternoon. It's going to be breezy across the Front Range, but we are going to continue to watch that mountain snow, especially in the northern mountains. We continue to see mild dry weather through the weekend before snow chances next week.
As a World War II replica ship is coming together, a community remembers what happened 81 years ago today.
Taking an opportunity today to just reflect back on and honor that memory is truly important.
That's next. "81 years ago today, Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor brought the U.S. into World War II. Today, people in Adams County remembered that day as they took an important step toward opening a Veterans Memorial in Brighton.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to begin in just a few moments here. If you'd like to
we're at the Adams County USS Colorado Memorial, a replica battleship here for the community to use and to kind of honor and remember our veterans that have come from all the services throughout the years.
December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. Just before 8 a.m. on a Sunday morning in Honolulu, America was attacked by hundreds of Japanese fighter planes.
Today's Pearl Harbor Day, so today's a really big day for remembering our greatest generation, and the numbers continue to dwindle and get smaller and smaller from those that served during World War II. So taking an opportunity today to just reflect back on and honor that memory is truly important. Stepping the mast is a momentous occasion in the building of a new ship. Though today the mast stepping ceremony involves placing or welding coins and other significant objects into the hollow part of the mast of the ship. The Navy, active duty Navy, felt like it was an appropriate moment for us to get involved and try to share some of our current traditions with the team that's put this great project together. And so we're going to be placing little keepsakes and mementos within the ship today. This thing's pretty sturdy, hopefully as a good, sign of good luck. Remembering the atrocity that happened for the most part, but we got to make sure that we're remembering that there are World War II survivors out there, and as time goes on, there's fewer and fewer, and so taking an opportunity to remember what they endured and what they went through, and hopefully capturing that memory so that we can keep it with us in the future. Why not?
That memorial is expected to be completed, open to the public by next Memorial Day. You've raised more than $10 million to help Coloradans through your Word of Thanks microgiving. No cause more often than making sure people get fed, because it's that important. Let's cover some holiday meals next. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign is helping the nonprofit Community Table provide holiday meals and more for people in need in Jefferson County. I want to read you something that a woman named Joan wrote into Community Table. Joan said, "When we retired, I thought we'd have a good life. Then my husband died, my medical bills got higher, and I had trouble getting by." Joan said, "Community Table helps make ends meet." People need help for all kinds of different reasons in life, so let's help. Scan the QR code on your screen to join me in donating. Community Table combines its food programs with help for people who are facing medical bills or the loss of a home, and it is need that continues through the holidays. Piece of feedback that came into us tonight via text, so there's no name associated with this. They wrote, "It's so true that kids can't learn when they're hungry." This person says, "I taught in a city school many years ago. I'll always remember being frustrated with my second grade student and asking why he was coming to school when he wasn't trying. He said, 'I come to school to eat.'" Something to think about there. We'll see you next time.